Okay, before we go into the team preview, let's take a look at last year's offensive stats for the Chicago Bears. 29th in yards per game. They're 32nd dead last in passing yards per game. Rushing yards per game, they were first. In points per game, they were 23rd. So they didn't really have a good offense last year. I think lots of us know that. But on the ground, they had a heck of an offense, mainly due to Justin Fields running for 100 yards almost every single game. He had over 1,000 yards last year. So I think this should definitely improve. And let's talk about, the team, the offense, and why I think that will improve. You talk about the depth chart. Obviously, they got Justin Fields. This is a make or break season for him, and I'm excited. I am a Justin Fields truther. I think he can be the franchise quarterback of the Chicago Bears. So I'm very excited for him. Obviously, on the ground, we know what he can do. He can change the game whenever he's running and scoring touchdowns from 75 yards out. But obviously, the biggest thing he needs to get under control is his passing ability. I think he was overthinking a lot of things, a lot of passes, and he just didn't look like himself from Ohio State. And I think he can be a better passer because of what we did see at Ohio State. And this was, I believe, this was like his first year starting. So, I mean, in theory, he was a rookie, if we're being completely honest. But I think he can go back to his ways of just mainly being a pocket passer. Not saying he's not good. He's just gonna get rid of his running ability because obviously we know how dynamic and game changing that can be. But again, it's still he's. I just think he'll do a lot better as a passer. Year two under Eberflus, which if I'm this might be the right stat, might be a wrong stat, but he's never been in the same offense for more than a year, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I could be terribly wrong on that, but he's gotten a year or two under his belt with this playbook, with the offense, with some of the players now, and it should be exciting. And again, obviously, the Bears have done so much to just put him around a great talent and put him around a great offense. Starting with the running backs, they got Khalil Herbert. No more David Montgomery. Khalil Herbert will be the starter, but I don't think he'll be just like the main starter. He won't get the three down. He's not a three down back. He's a guy that definitely will take early handoffs. He'll take obviously receptions from the backfield. Maybe he'll line up in the slot here and there. But again, he's going to be more of the receiving back on the team, but he'll definitely have a big impact on the ground. But I think Roschon Johnson, the rookie out of Texas, he'll be more of the guy who's going to get the most carries. And I think it's going to be, a mix of Khalil Herbert, Roschon Johnson, and a little bit of Deontay Foreman. But I'm very excited for Roschon Johnson, backup in Texas, and to Bijan Robinson. In most Power 5 schools, he probably wouldn't be the backup, and he was starting. And, I mean, he was still playing absolutely great when he was the backup of Bijan Robinson. And now he's going to have more, I think, more of a role in more touches in Chicago. I'm very excited for Roschon Johnson. So let's go ahead and take a look at the weapons that the Chicago Bears have put around Justin Fields. With DJ Moore, obviously, they traded him to the Chicago Bears, or the Panthers traded him to Chicago Bears for that number 1 overall pick, and Justin Fields as wide receiver 1. Now, some people compare DJ Moore, in the acquiry of DJ Moore, to the AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts thing and the Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen thing, even though I would disagree with that, even though, he's getting his wide receiver 1, but at that point, AJ Brown and Stephon Diggs, when they got traded, they were already top 10 wide receivers. If not, they were like top 15 wide receivers in the NFL already. So it's hard to say that when I think DJ Moore isn't really that close to being a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. Not saying he's bad. I think I still have him as a top 20 wide receiver, but I don't think he'll come in and automatically change the game for Justin Fields. But I am excited for everybody after DJ Moore. Darnell Mooney, he's going to be finally put in a role where I think he fits better, the wide receiver 2 role. In my opinion, he's not a wide receiver 1. And even though he played great as a wide receiver 1, but now you got somebody who's going to take some eyes away, I guess, if that makes sense. Obviously, he'll usually get the second best cornerback. He's not always going to get the best cornerback on the other team. So I'm very excited for Darnell Mooney, and then Chase Claypool, who I think can be a good wide receiver 3. I still think that second round pick was a little bit too high for them. Luckily, they got a lot more picks back in that trade for the wide receiver 1 role, or the first overall pick. But I still think Chase Claypool's a good receiver, and I think he'll a full offseason with the new offense. I think he'll be just fine. Second round pick, a little bit too rich, but I don't think the Bears are gonna regret that. later on, like, 2 years down the road, to be honest. I don't really think that's going to, nobody's going to care about that anymore. And then they got Equanimeous St. Brown, who I think is a good receiver. They drafted Tyler Scott, who I can't wait to see in the slot, because if he can go ahead and run slants and get past guys, he gets an open field, man, he can be gone for a 50-yard touchdown. He is fast. He is speedy. He's not going to beat you on a go route, but he will beat you if he has the ball in open field. And that is true. And then they got Velus Jones Jr. Now you look at the tight ends. They got Cole Kmet, who, again, I'm very excited for. I hope they use their tight ends a lot more, because I think Cole Kmet can be an absolute great of a tight end. I think he can be a top 10 tight end in the league. And I'm very excited for them to hopefully use him a lot more. They got Robert Tonyan, which I think was a good signing, and then they got Jake Tongues. Now let's go to another point, another part of the team where they've really been able to help out Justin Fields, and that is the offensive line, where this is a projected offensive line for the Chicago Bears from our lads. So Braxton Jones on the left side, left tackle. Tevin Jenkins hopefully finding his forever home at the left guard spot. They got veteran Cody Whitehair. They got right guard Nate Davis and right tackle Darnell Wright. I like this offensive line. I don't think it's the best, but I still think it's pretty good. I think it's better than last year's 100%. I'm not too sure on the left side. I don't know if Braxton Jones is going to be the future left tackle. I hope Tevin Jenkins is the future left guard, because I think he can be a good offensive lineman in the league. They got Cody Whitehair, who is not himself from 4 or 5 years ago, to be honest, but he is still a veteran center, which I think can help out Justin Fields a lot. I think a veteran center can call out protections, can spot out some defensive things, defensive lineups with the defensive linemen and stuff like that. And then I love the right side. I think this is the best side on the offensive line. You got Nate Davis, who they brought in from Tennessee, who I really wanted for my favorite team. He's a great guard, and I think he'll be great on that right side. And then you drafted Darnell Wright, who I think is a great right tackle. A little too early for me. I would have taken a few other tackles before him, but I'm not going to nitpick on that right now. I think definitely going to be able to help out Justin Fields, and I am excited. Okay, I'm very excited for the Chicago Bears projected offensive line. And so let's go ahead and talk about the Chicago Bears defense. Let's take a look at the defensive stats for 2022. From 2022, they were 29th in yards per game allowed. They were 17th in passing yards per game allowed. They were 30th in allowed rushing yards per game and 32nd in allowed points per game. They didn't have a good defense. And I'll be honest right now, I don't know how better it got, especially, just this year. One, they definitely made some great moves that I like, and I'm excited to see how it plans out. But there's definitely some holes and some problems and questions I have about this defense that could spiral down this team, at least defensively. Let's take a look at the secondary, because I think the secondary starters are good. I love Jalen Johnson. I love Kyler Gordon. You look at the safeties, Eddie Jackson, Jaquan Brisker. I love those guys. Tyreek Stevenson and Terrell Smith, the rookies, great players. But they're all starters. Maybe not Terrell Smith, but he'll definitely see some times. But all these guys are starters. After the starters, I don't know how confident I am in their secondary. So that's why I'm lower on this. This is definitely a part where I'm lower on the defense. An injury or two happens, things can spiral out of control in the secondary, especially when your defensive line isn't that good either. It's not. They complement each other, but if these guys get injured, obviously I hope not. I hope nobody gets injured, but you lose a guy for a week or two, maybe someone's out for 5 weeks. Someone got to go in IR. That's not going to look good in my opinion for the Chicago Bears. Now, in the long run, it may not matter, but this year where they can make the playoffs, they even can win the division, I don't think it's going to be the best. And now let's go ahead and take a look at the front seven. You're talking about the linebackers and defensive line. They made a lot of moves on the linebacker position, getting Tremaine Edmonds, getting TJ Edwards, which, I like both of them. I think the TJ Edwards signing was the better one. In my opinion, I would have signed TJ Edwards and just let Jack Sanborn be in this linebacker too, because he's an absolute beast of a linebacker as well. I probably would have used Tremaine Edmonds' money somewhere else if I'm being completely honest, but I'm not nitpicking on that. But the linebacker core is special. It's a really good linebacking core, and that's definitely a spot that they wanted to make sure was right. And I think if you and now in the times where kind of the linebacker position isn't as important as it used to be, but if you do have a top end linebacker, it makes a difference. But if you got somebody that's not crazy good, it's not going to look too different from somebody who's, better, a few times. But if you got one of the best linebackers in the league, it's going to make, it's going to show. You look at the 49ers, Fred Warner, you have Demario Davis on the Saints. You have all these other linebackers. And Tremaine Edmonds is probably a top 10 linebacker in the league, so he's definitely going to be able to make a difference. I just think the money could have used spent elsewhere. But again, linebacker core, absolutely amazing. You brought in rookie Noah Sewell. Even though I'm not the highest on him, I thought, maybe I should put him on the depth chart here. And then you talk about the defensive line, which I think is terrible. Now, I love the DeMarcus Walker signing. He's going to be a great edge rusher for the Bears because they need pass rush. They need run defense. They need better defensive line, to be honest. But I love DeMarcus Walker. And then on our lads, the projected starters were DeMarcus Walker, Andrew Billings, Justin Jones, and Trevis Gibson. That's bad. That is bad. I don't know how many times I have to say it, but that is a bad starting lineup for the defensive line. And you got rookie Zach Pickens, who I'm a fan of, and you got rookie Gavron Dexter, who could genuinely both find themselves starting by the end of the year. And I think these guys have a ton of potential. No, I'm not saying they're going to become top 20 guys, but they're going to be serviceable guys at the defensive spot. I think Gavron Dexter can be maybe a top 20 guy in the NFL. I'm very excited. A very athletic defensive tackle. But I'm not too high on the secondary, or I guess the defense for the Chicago Bears. And that's the thing that worries me a little bit. Definitely. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment down below, what did I get right and wrong about this team? And subscribe while you're at it. And hit the notification bell if you're still waiting for your team to get talked about. And if you want to see the full preview of this team's division, go ahead. The video should be on the screen right now. Peace out.